Hey everybody, this is another one of my vlogs. This one's called A Fallacy Between SPL and Wattage on a Speaker. I've noticed a lot of DJs going on telling people that it doesn't matter what wattage you have on your speakers, it's just the SPLs that matter, which is true. However, these DJs who just like SPLs instead of wattage. How about this? How about them putting a 30 watt amp in your speaker and see how that runs? Well, anyway, that's what this vlog is about. It's about the fallacy between SPL and wattage. Wattage does help. In fact, wattage is a big reason why you get the SPLs. You don't get a good SPL like 120, 115, 120, 125, 130 SPLs from a 30 watt amp now, do you? Do you? Do you want a 30 watt amp in your speaker system? I don't think so. Anyway, we're going to go over this, and I'm going to show you graphics and charts and things like that that show you that watts do matter when you want the SPLs. So let me get back to the desk and I will show you how it works, and my explanation about wattage does matter versus SPL. SPL is very important, but wattage is a big part of the equation. Let's start from the beginning here with something low wattage like this 50 watt amp. And if you have the most efficient speakers in the world, it won't reach 100 dBs of sound pressure. It says it's most likely to produce 90 dBs. And if you want to get 100, you're going to have to get a bigger amp, okay? So 90 dBs for a 50 watt amp is pretty good, except you got to remember this. That thing is like pushing it to get 90 dBs, okay? That's kind of like a runner running its fastest on a marathon. So basically a 50 watt amp, if you want it to run cool and everything, you can't run it at 90 dBs SPL. There's no way it's going to get so hot it'll just burn out. Okay, let's get to our next graphic. Okay, now we're moving up to a 100 watt amp, and this 100 watt amp will reach 100 dBs with a maximum of 110 dBs, but it depends on the speaker's efficiency and the amplifier's ability to handle the power. So we're doing the same thing as that runner who's running its fastest on a marathon. Can't do it during the whole marathon. It can only do it a certain part of the marathon. So same thing with a 100 watt amp. It could reach the 110 dB, but it can't be doing it all the time. It's going to heat up, and most likely it's going to fail. You don't want that. So my philosophy is true. It does depend on the wattage. Okay, let's move up to the 200 watt amp. Now, with the 200 watt amp, it can achieve 100 dBs SPL, and it could probably handle it with no problem with 100 dBs. So, but we're talking about a 200 watt amp now. All right, so it's probably going to be doing well for the whole night with 100 dB SPL. But if you think that's not loud enough, then of course you're going to get more watts, okay? But a 200 watt amp could easily do any type of event and get 100 dBs, and it's not going to sweat. Let's go check out a bigger amp. Let's go check out a 1,000 watt amp. All right, and we're looking at a 1,000 watt amplifier. That's to you and me. That's 500 watts RMS. That's a considerable amount of power for a DJ speaker, or any kind of PA speaker for that matter. And it will it will peak out at 2000 watts. So it's 2000 watts peak, 500 watts RMS. This is the basic way it works with a 1000-watt amplifier. And a lot of people have 1000-watt amplifiers in your speakers. But anyway, it will hit 100 and at least 120 dBs, SPLs, at least 120, probably 130 at the most, or something like that. See, the thing is, these amplifier manufacturers, they don't want to go too high. They don't want to do any ratings around 1000, because then people will start going nutsy with it, and they'll start, pushing it so hard that they'll blow out their speakers. So basically, they're just saying you have to consider the speaker's sensitivity measured in SBLs at 1 meter with 1 watt input. So you got to do your own research on it, but most likely 500 watts RMS is plenty to run any type of 15-inch two-way or three-way speaker. Okay, let's go take a look at the big boy here, the 1400 watt. The 1400 watt amp, which is the granddaddy here, it will give you 700 watts RMS. That's really a killer amount. That is like super PA category. But it will reach, it doesn't want to tell you on this chart about the maximum SPL, because like I said, they don't want you to go experimenting with it, and it's something over 130 SPLs will actually deafen your ears, and you won't be able to hear anything for, well, forever, if you are listening to 130 dBs. But anyway, a 1400 watt amp putting out 700 watts RMS at a 2800 peak is way more than you would need. But if you are doing a lot of outdoor activities that you need the sound to be at a good loud pressure, and you have the enclosures that can deal with it, then by all means use a 1400 watt amplifier. Very rare that you'll find a 1400 watt amplifier in any powered speaker. Okay, this is a JBL IRX 108BT. It's a small little speaker. It's an 8-inch two-way, and it has a peak watts rating of 1000. Some of them, some of the specs say 1200 watts peak, but that's bullshit. That's like believing everything the government tells you, or believing a speed limit sign on the highway. It's not true. But anyway, I'm going to go with the 1000 watt peak. So that means that this speaker here probably has a I would say it probably has a 250 watt amp in it. And the reason why I came to that conclusion is because the RMS on it is about 400. And I'm giving it a little bit more, credit than it should have, but it's 400 RMS. That means it's a continuous amount of wattage coming out of this bad boy. So 400 RMS is usually 200 to 250 watts. Now the peak is 1000, and I believe it. I believe it could peak out at 1000, but it's not gonna, it's not gonna be peaking all the time. And the SPL on this thing is 100 and I think 124 or something like that. So it sounds right for a amp that's about 200 to 250 watts. So it's not a huge amp at all, but it's good enough to run this speaker at 8 ohms. But anyway, that's how basically it works. So you don't have a real powerful amp, but you need something at least 200 to 300 watts. The RCF version of this thing has a bigger amp, like a 300 watt amp, and the peak is something like 1500 or something like that. It's way over this one, but the the sound on quality is good. I think it's better than this speaker, but of course it has a better amp on it and it's bigger. So when you have a bigger amp, you can drive it harder as well. Don't let anybody tell you amps don't matter. I mean, how powerful the amp is. That's a bunch of hogwash, man. Bullshit, actually. All right. Well, anyway, this is Ernie, and I'm gonna say have a great week. Take it easy, and don't listen to all the hogwash out there. Just read up for yourself and see what the facts are. All right. Take it easy. Bye bye.